everybody. My name is Dr. Scott Giacomucci. I'm the director and founder of the Phoenix Center for Experiential Trauma Therapy in Media, Pennsylvania. I'm board certified in clinical social work and psychodrama, and I'm an experiential therapy trainer and educator. I'm really excited that you found this video, and I hope that you find it helpful in your work. This is part of an ongoing video series highlighting my recently published book, Social Work, Sociometry, and Psychodrama, Experiential Approaches for Group Therapists, Community Leaders, and Social Workers. In this video series, we'll be going through the book chapter by chapter to articulate some of the content of the book, to warm you up to the book perhaps, or to help you further understand, process, and digest the content and the processes that are outlined in this book. If you haven't already gotten a copy of the book, you can download it for free online at Springer Nature's website, the publisher, or on Amazon through their ebook platform. If you do find the book helpful, I would be incredibly grateful if you considered leaving an Amazon review, an honest Amazon review about the book, so that we can help reach future audiences. Now, as you can probably already identify, there's a number of connections between social work and psychodrama. Social work, especially social group work, really emphasizes the phenomenon of mutual aid, which is this core belief that every individual in the group has inherent strengths, experiences, value, and wisdom that they can share with everyone else in the group in order to promote healing, education, and support for group members. And that the primary function of the social group worker is to cultivate mutual aid in the group, to position group members in ways that they can mutually support and aid each other. So this core philosophy is echoed in psychodrama's theories, where we believe that the healing happens between the auxiliaries and the group members, not from the director. Psychodrama and social work also share that they're largely oriented on humanistic, non-pathologizing, and non-judgmental approaches. That they're person-centered. It's about meeting people where they're at, honoring their subjective experience and reality. There's a lot of congruence with postmodernism and social constructionism in both approaches. Psychodrama and social work both emphasize the importance of spontaneity, of creativity, of roles, of group phases, of interpersonal skills, empowerment, relationships, and social justice. There's a ton of overlap, theoretically. Sari Skolnick highlights in her 2018 publication that social work with groups and psychodrama exist in a synergistic union, which I think is a really poetic way of articulating it. When we look at the International Association of Social Work with Groups standards for group work, we can see a lot of connections between social work with groups standards and psychodrama. One simple one is the emphasis on roles, that there's a big emphasis on the roles that people take within families and the roles that people take within groups, which is largely congruent with psychodrama's role theory. The other pieces I already highlighted about mutual aid, about the therapist or the director being primarily tasked with cultivating mutual aid and healing between group members. Social workers and psychodramatists tend to also be similar in their emphasis on the use of self, whereas other professionals perhaps are less likely to use themselves and to offer personal disclosures. Psychodramatists and social workers both tend to have a culture where transparency, self-disclosure, use of self tends to be more commonly used than in some of the other professions, especially psychology and psychiatry. So again, social work and psychodrama, they both really highlight the importance of conceptualizing individuals within their social environments. They both look at not only psychodynamics of individuals, but also sociodynamics within the larger systems that they operate in. Both social work and psychodrama offer phasic models of group development. Psychodramas, again, being warm-up, action, and sharing. Whereas in social work, Larry Shulman highlights the 4 different phases or stages in a group. The initial stage of the group, the beginning stage of the group, the middle stage, and the end stage, and how there's different tasks and different dynamics that emerge within these different phases of the group. That these phases can be a way of conceptualizing the larger, longer-term development of a group from when a group is organized, the initial screening for the group, the initial marketing for the group, the initial push to get the group to come together, the first group meeting, moving into the beginning phase, where there's different tasks focused on establishing safety, cohesion, developing a sense of all in the same boat, a group identity and experience. Moving into the middle stage, where conflict tends to arise, where we renegotiate roles, and where we really dig into and move towards doing the work that the group came together to do. Really addressing the group goals, the treatment goals. And finally, the ending phase of the group, which is where we address termination and we consider, where do we go from here? How do we continue this work going forward? So these 4 phases can be considered in terms of the longevity of a group's development, but also in terms of a single session, the initial, beginning, middle, and end phases of a single session. So here's another connection with psychodrama. Psychodrama and social work, they both offer systems approaches that highlight the importance of social justice, of dealing with conflict and tensions within the group and within society. They both orient around empowerment and empowering marginalized groups and communities, emphasizing the dignity and worth of each person. Moreno, pretty much all of his work was with oppressed communities. He worked with children, he worked with inmates in prison, he worked with refugees, he worked with immigrants, he worked with sex workers, he worked with folks who were experiencing really severe mental health issues, such as schizophrenia or psychosis. He was a social worker, very much so in that way, and really emphasized the dignity and worth of each person, which is actually one of the core values of social work. Moreno went as far as suggesting that every human being was a potential genius, that every human being was godlike, that every human being was a doctor. And so he would refer to his patients as doctors, really trying to elevate and empower everyone to the same level of status and power within the group, emphasizing their dignity and worth. So another core connection between social work with groups and psychodrama I mentioned earlier, which is treating the group as a whole. That both approaches really emphasize the importance of the group as a whole approach. That the group itself is the client. That it's not just a collection of individuals in a group setting. That the group becomes its own entity, and that the group is the identified patient. So both social work with groups and psychodrama really emphasize a group as a whole approach, and really teach practitioners how to work with the group as a whole, how to engage everybody in the group, how to avoid that pitfall of doing individual work with a group audience. So as you can see, there's a ton of overlaps between psychodrama and social work. If you wanted to learn more about these overlaps, I encourage you to check out Chapter 6 in the book, as well as the other chapters, where you can learn more. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I'd really invite you to like this video and perhaps subscribe to the channel so you can receive updates about future videos. Again, it would really go a long way in helping the book reach future readers if you considered leaving an Amazon review for the book, an honest review. I would greatly appreciate that. And I'm really interested in connecting with you and hearing how this video was for you, how it was helpful, how it challenged you, what you think may have been missing, other connections between psychodrama and social work that I didn't articulate that you're noticing. Go ahead and put that in the comments section here, and we'll begin a discussion and dialogue together. And feel free to also suggest future videos for the channel. I'm really interested in what you would like to learn more about. As long as it's within the scope of my competence, I'm happy to consider creating a video on that for you. So again, I encourage you to check out some of the other videos on this page and stay connected.